All right, if you own a dropshipping business, should you use PayPal? Should you avoid PayPal? Should you use Stripe? Today in this video, we're gonna cover everything having to do with payment processors for Shopify dropshipping. What's going on? Braden here. So in this video, we're gonna cover everything having to do with payment processors with Shopify dropshipping. I get asked all the time, can I avoid using PayPal? Do I have to use Stripe? What are the best payment processors? Today, we're gonna cover all of that, and I'm gonna cover what to do about holds and how to avoid holds and reserves with PayPal, Stripe, and the other payment processors. But before we get into the video, I've got a quick announcement to make. As you guys know, I'm prior service military. I'm a former firefighter and paramedic. With that, it's needless to say, I'm very patriotic. Because of this, I'm holding a July 4th sale, flash sale, for the Dropship Fortune program. So you can look down the description box below for the discount code for that. And if you jump in right now for a limited time, you'll get a free one-on-one coaching call with myself. The results coming out of the Dropship Fortune program have been absolutely insane. We have many students doing 6-figure months, even more doing 5-figure months. So the results coming out of this are absolutely insane. And right now you'd get that one-on-one free coaching call. So definitely look down in the description box below and get in while the sale is still going on. All right, so let's get into today's video. So first, let's go ahead and cover the whole argument about PayPal versus Stripe. So this is something that I've tested multiple times, and I've seen the results last with many of my students and other people in this space. I do consultation calls all the time with people, and the results speak for themselves. So first, let's go ahead and cover PayPal and Stripe. Do you need both? So with Stripe, you know, it accepts credit cards, debit cards. PayPal, that's obviously PayPal payments. And we're gonna get into some other credit card, debit card payment processors in a second, but the whole point here is do whatever you can to be able to offer both. I have so many people that reach out to me, and they might have been in this space for a long time. There's several people that have been in this space for a long time, and for whatever reason, they hate PayPal. That could be for the reserves, that could be for the way they go with disputes, everything like that. But what I can say is I've tested this on my test store, and I've seen this with many students, that if you have PayPal and a credit card, debit card processor, you're gonna be helping yourself a lot out. So recently I did a coaching call with someone that was not breaking even. They were losing money, and they only were able to accept credit cards and debit cards. They avoided PayPal. And I went ahead and I said, you know, I asked the reasons why they wanted to avoid PayPal. They were scared of getting a hold. So they're essentially just doing it to avoid ever getting a hold reserve on their funds. So I had them go ahead and add PayPal as a payment processor for their store, and they immediately had a winning store. They immediately were profitable. That was the kind of key. So one thing I can say is, at least with my stores and my experience, most of my stores are almost split down the middle between customers that purchase with card and then customers that purchase with PayPal. You definitely want to go ahead and have that other option. A lot of customers are only comfortable shopping with PayPal, and other customers are only comfortable shopping with card. So the whole point here is if you're able to get accepted and use both PayPal and a credit card processor, you need to go ahead and do that, and it'll go ahead and it can really boost the conversion rate. I have seen cost per conversions go way down and conversion rates of stores go way up by just adding essentially the missing piece, whether that's PayPal or a credit card, debit card processor. So I get asked all the time from people outside the United States and Canada and other countries. I get asked all the time, you know, I'm not able to use Stripe in my country, what can I use? This is where you're gonna have to do due diligence. So for many countries, you can use 2Checkout. There's many other processors out there. This is where you need to shop around, see where you can, one, get accepted, but then two, which ones are gonna give you the best rates. But the whole point here is don't only use PayPal in your store, and preferably don't only use a card processor. You wanna go ahead and have both. If you look at almost every big reputable brand out there, they have many checkout options, with the two main ones being PayPal and a card processor. And then they might have Google Pay, Apple Pay, Amazon Pay, all the rest. But the two big ones are PayPal and card. It looks very fishy to a customer if you only accept one of these methods. If you only have Pay by PayPal or you only have Pay by card, this looks very fishy and can completely destroy the trust of your store. So one, you're decreasing your conversion rate because you have a lack of trust, but then you're decreasing the conversion rate because you have a lot of customers that will only check out using PayPal or only check out using card. And this is something that I've tested multiple times, and it's without a doubt had a big impact on conversion rate. You want to have a card processor and PayPal. So if you can get accepted by both, you want to use that. And what I can say is if you're in another country and you can't use Stripe, you might not even be able to use 2Checkout, you need to go ahead and shop around. You need to do your due diligence. You need to put in the effort, because you most likely can get accepted by a payment processor. So now let's go ahead and talk about holds and reserves. So I've had reserves in the past from Stripe, and I've had holds and reserves in the past from PayPal. One thing I can say, because so many people are so scared of getting a hold or reserve from PayPal, one thing I can say is out of all my stores, I've only had one major hold on one of the stores. And I've had many PayPal accounts, many stores that all use their own PayPal account. It is hit or miss, but I can say at least with me and what I've seen with many of my students is it happens less than what people think. Now, the reason a lot of these holds and reserves happen is it can be purely by chance. If you have a new store open and you really start scaling, it can literally hit you by chance. You can have a lot of chargebacks or disputes come in. So with PayPal, you could have a lot of disputes. With Stripe, you could have a lot of chargebacks come in. That is going to flag reserve. And that's one thing I've seen almost for sure happen, is if you have a lot of them come in, especially in the early periods of your store, you probably will get a hold reserve. But then the big one is, it is kind of by chance. You know, I have a photographer friend, does nothing really with e-commerce, just accepts payments through PayPal for their photography business. And she was hit with a reserve on her PayPal funds for, I believe, 3 months. So it really somewhat is by chance. But one thing I can say is it happens less than what people think, especially if you're doing the right business practices. So to avoid those disputes and chargebacks, this is where you want to have great customer service. You want to be shipping your products out right away. You want to have, done your due diligence on the supplier and the products. You don't want to start selling and then figure out you have really bad products. Your supplier takes forever to ship out the products. This is where you want to have done your due diligence. But big thing here is it comes down a lot of times to customer service. One thing that I've seen actually work out really well with avoiding a lot of disputes with PayPal is when a question comes in from PayPal, instead of having to go through and manually do it all on PayPal and keep all the questions and the disputes all on PayPal to where it can easily get escalated to a claim, go ahead and have an email set up for any disputes that come through PayPal. So you go ahead and set that up, and then you'll create a template that anytime a question comes through PayPal, you essentially tell the person, rather than escalating to a claim, essentially both sides don't want that, go ahead and reach out to our support team at this email where you'll be given priority treatment. You'll be placed at the top of queue, whatever. You want to go ahead and do that. And that'll go ahead and relieve a lot of disputes going to claims. And you can, of course, have your great customer service figure that out. But that's the big thing to know. You want to go ahead and have PayPal and a card processor if possible. I know for some people you just can't get accepted with that. It will make things harder on you. You have to accept that. It's going to make things hard on you if you don't have PayPal and a card processor, but it still can be done. There's products out there that and regions out there that primarily use card or primarily use PayPal. That's where you're going to have to really look into that. But you're gonna have to accept it will be hard on you if you don't have both payment options, both PayPal and a card processor. And then to avoid those hold and reserves, you have to know that some of it is by chance. And if you do get a hold or reserve, this is where you need to go ahead and you need to decide to be frugal. I've seen many people get holds and reserves and they're okay. The profit margins are okay to where essentially during the hold reserve, they're at that break even point. They're able to still fulfill orders, still keep ads going. They're just not taking anything from the business. And then the great thing is when it's up, you get all the money in a lump sum. I've had that happen before. The big thing is if you do get a hold reserve, just don't take any money from the business during that time period. And that's a big mistake I see beginners make anyway. You want to go ahead and be putting everything back into the business in the beginning, and then you can go ahead and kind of enjoy the fruits of your labor, but you need to make sure you get through that hold a reserve period. And then 3, make sure you go ahead and you do your best practices to avoid getting a hold reserve. Just because you use PayPal or you use Stripe does not mean you'll get a hold reserve. I know more people that have never had a hold reserve than people who have. So keep that in mind. Follow best business practices, and most of the time you'll be okay. One thing to note is if you actually scale up really quickly, that many times can be a flag to PayPal to put a hold reserve on your account. They want to go ahead and do due diligence on your business to make sure you're doing best business practices. You're not going to have a lot of claims, everything like that. So that is one thing to note. But with that being said, don't avoid scaling really fast because you're afraid of a hold reserve. Still do that. Because then if you do get one, you can figure out ways to get around it. But I hope you guys found some value in this video. This is definitely a quick talk about a question I got. If you could, please go ahead and smash that like button down below. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely leave a comment. I answer all questions within the first hour of the video uploaded. Many of the video ideas come from the comment section. And then don't forget about the July 4th flash sale going on right now. Keep grinding, y'all, and I'll see you in the next video.